I'm Dan Warnke with United Way of Rutland County, and this is another month of United Way at Work. We're going to do something a little bit different this month, and we're actually going to talk about the 2020 census. I have some wonderful community members here, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves. And Caprice, I think we'll start with you.
Great, thank you very much. Happy to be here. I'm actually going to wear a couple hats today in answering these questions. I am the chairman of the Board of Commissioners for the Vermont State Housing Authority. I also am a regional rep for the Coalition for Juvenile Justice. And my full-time work is running the United Way of Rutland County and raising a lot of money to do good things in our community.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here today. We appreciate it. Kirk?
I'm Kirk Postleway. I'm the Director of Population Health from Rutland Regional Medical Center, and I'm here today as a partner in the Census mission that we have here in front of us to try and get a complete count in Rutland County.
Beautiful.
When we roll it out.
That's wonderful. Thanks for being here today, Kirk. We really appreciate it. But we're going to jump right into it with Ms. Caprice. And Caprice, I would love to just have you give me a pretty general overview of what the 2020 census actually is and what it means for Rutland County overall.
Well, the census is critical. It's done every 10 years, which sometimes feels like a long time. But the reality is the census is done to help gain the population and the numbers of people that live within each area across the country. Why that's important is because the federal government makes decisions on where money from the federal government goes to based on those numbers. So we want to make sure, the actual title is the Complete Count Census Committee for Rutland County, and United Way agreed to help support that effort, and there are probably 25 partners involved in this, really trying to work at making sure that everybody in Rutland County can make sure that their voice is heard and their thoughts are heard around what we need. So it's really critical. We lost money during the last census in 2010. Really? 20% of our population in Rutland County did not respond to the survey. So that means that less money came in to help support our community in a variety of ways, and I know we'll talk about how that rolls out later, but that's really what our charge is and why United Way stepped up, is because we're kind of that convener when an idea or thought needs someone to be facilitating and making sure we all communicate and get together around it. That's kind of why we're doing this. That's great.
And kind of talking on that lack of response, I'm going to kind of go over to you, Kirk, and I think some of that has to do with not a miscommunication, but a misunderstanding. And I think that misunderstanding has a lot to do with the fact that many Rutland County residents might believe that their personal information is being shared, to public, just in general, the public, I guess you could say. But that's actually not true. Can you actually touch on that a little bit and kind of give us a better understanding of what that information does?
Absolutely. So the census itself is really just a data gathering operation, if you will, and that means that they are trying to get an accurate count of the people who live in communities, as Caprice was saying, every 10 years to determine what kind of funding goes out to those communities from the federal government. It also impacts delegations to the United States Congress, so you're getting those counts, and that can even determine redistricting, although Vermont's population has stayed pretty similar over the past 10 years. But what they're trying to do is find out who lives in what the number of people who live in communities, and therefore allocate the money appropriately based on that. So the questions that are asked are pretty simple. It's your name, it's your date of birth, obviously the location that you are residing as of April 1st, 2020. That's the date certain they look at. And the people who live in your house. So they ask one person from each household to kind of be that person who registers all the people who are living there. Sure. They don't ask for, social security numbers. They don't ask for, really any other information that is pertinent to the person themselves. And, even with the basic information they're collecting, It is protected by law. Yeah, I've got this sheet in front of me that the census folks gave us that said, the law is clear, no personal information can be shared. And I think they really impressed upon us how important it is to have people understand that, this is being done to benefit everyone. It's not being done to find out, where people are living, and they, by law, again, cannot share the information they gather outside of the census itself. Sure. So they have strict codes to follow, and I was certainly impressed by the people who talked to us in terms of their seriousness about that. Another thing that I think is really important to note for everyone out there, as a citizen of Rutland County and Vermont and the United States, is to recognize this is a constitutional requirement. So in other words, part of our civic duty as citizens is to say, hey, yes, I live here now, so we can be counted, and therefore we count. And that impacts services across the community, from schools, funding for schools, funding for roads. Obviously, in my case, I'm very interested in the funding that can come to healthcare and through the hospital. Sure. All the bigger programs, Medicaid, Medicare, those kind of dollars that eventually come down to our community here in Rutland are impacted by the count we get right now.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think a lot of people don't realize how strictly the Census Bureau does take it, like you talked about. And I actually have seen that flyer that you're looking at right now, and there's actually a $250,000 fine and or 5 years in prison if anyone who's a census taker shares information. So if that's not as blunt as it could possibly be, I don't know how much more blunt you could get. But this information is critical overall for the community, especially within Rutland County, which is our overall focus. And it's definitely confidential. So just keep that in mind while you take the census this year. And I'm going to switch back over to Ms. Caprice here. And I would love for you, Caprice, I know you have over 30 years of experience within this county alone. And I know, Kirk, you have many years of experience under your belt as well. But Caprice, can you just very bluntly put what's in it for the Rutland County residents if they all complete the census? What's in it for us?
Well, what's in it for me is I was actually 15 when I started this, so 30 plus years. I'm pretty young still, right? No, it is really important, and I think, Kirk mentioned a couple of the areas that will benefit by folks filling out these surveys, and there'll be multiple ways to do that. But a critical area for Rutland County and the state is the housing challenge. The dollars that are determined have everything to do with your Section 8 vouchers, whether that's the Housing Authority with their project-based vouchers, or Vermont State Housing Authority, where we have what we call tenant-based, meaning they move with folks. All of those critical things are important, and I think I want to also stress again, having worked with folks that are in at-risk situations and might not feel like their voice or their family matters. Yeah. This is one of those critical times when your voice makes a difference in what can happen for the future for our kids, about whether it's the infrastructure on the roads we drive in, the quality of the housing, the medical opportunities. It really touches everything that we do. Sure. So, and I appreciate also there's the myth out there that that the census really doesn't do much, and that it's the government. Yeah. Well, it is organized by the government, but it's for the people. Yes. And I think that's when you talk about civic duty. Yeah. We talk about civic duties for voting. This is as critical a civic duty as voting. Absolutely. Because it matters to our community. If we don't have the money to fix our roads or to get transportation to and from the medical appointments, money that goes to the bus also is critical. So I think if folks take a step back, and yes, you're giving your name and date of birth. I do know people have used false names. We appreciate it if you don't do that. But that is the only information, and it's as strict as HIPAA. A lot of families are familiar with what HIPAA means, right, and their medical needs and challenges. This is the same thing. Yeah.
And that's wonderful. Can you kind of also incorporate that idea into your everyday life at United Way of Rutland County? What does the census do for your job every day and the community members that benefit from United Way of Rutland County?
Well, most of the agencies that we serve, for example, like Fairhaven Concerned, VNA, the Council on Aging, which is Meals on Wheels that we fund, all of these programs also get federal dollars. So we're like the stopgap. We're like, okay, there's not quite enough money in this program to do it the best we can, so we help support that. If we don't have these census questions answered fully by the community members, then that impacts the amount of money that our agencies are going to be receiving, which means that their budget income goes down.
Sure.
So in a time when federal resources and state resources are already dwindling, we really need to turn the curve on that and really blow it out of the water for 2020 to make sure everyone's counted. And when we talk about everyone, I mean, we will be walking the streets with the Faith on Foot group. We will be going to community agencies, the Open Door Mission, different places, Project Vision, to really talk to people. So, and if people are uncomfortable, they can call us.
Absolutely.
And we can help facilitate getting them their information into the survey.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I know the number for Rutland's, United Way of Rutland County is 773-7477. And like Caprice said, give us a call. Don't be afraid to reach out to us. We're more than happy to kind of have you on our Complete Count Committee team. It's a team that's kind of growing slowly, but we'd love to have you involved if you're interested. So thank you, Caprice. That's wonderful. Kirk, I'm going to go back to you and kind of ask you a similar question. I know you touched on it briefly, how, of course, this has a lot to do with healthcare. And the funding that's involved with that. So can you kind of talk a little bit about Rutland Regional Medical Center's connection with the census?
Sure. Yeah, to kind of step back a little bit, we were approached by the Census Bureau probably a month and a half ago, and the gentleman came and spoke to us and just said, Rutland Regional's seen as a trusted organization within the community, and we'd really like to have you help us get the word out, about the census, because again, they're doing their best to make sure that these complete counts happen, because that's their mission, that's their task, and we were very happy to help. And I'm kind of new to the organization, so it was great to see that willingness on the part of my leadership to just say, yeah, go right with it. And what I've learned in this process is how important this is to the money that even the hospital will receive, because Medicare, Medicaid, children's health insurance, the CHIP program, Dr. Dinosaur, that type of thing is so heavily influenced by the way these counts go, and therefore the money that follows it. So we deeply understand the importance of getting these dollars here so that we can provide I want to make sure I make it clear that we collaborate across the community with a lot of other great partners, but so that we can collaborate with folks from the Department of Health, folks from United Way, as Caprice was saying, VNA, Council on Aging, Rutland Mental Health, all these different players who are in this community to help both the individuals and then the larger community be a healthier place. But without funding, a lot of these projects are much more difficult to put together. And luckily we have, organizations like United Way of Rutland County in place to do that stopgap funding. But boy, wouldn't it be great to not have to have quite as much pressure, for those types of situations to be, happening. Yeah. So I think it's really incumbent upon all of us, as in our professional capacity, for us right here, but also as citizens to say, gosh, I live in this community. I want it to be healthier. I want to see my neighbors prosper. I want to be able to help folks if they need it. And, a lot of that has to do with how we, are funded ultimately to keep the infrastructure in place. So,
yeah, and you mentioned so many very, very important programs, just like Caprice. The programs within our county, they're all so important. We just had a meeting last week, Caprice and myself, where almost 40 different nonprofits were in the room. And that's an incredible amount of nonprofits for a county of this size. So it really does affect a very broad realm within our community overall. So thank you for your input on that. And also, Kirk, I know that you have a little bit of knowledge on some things that the Census Bureau is actually doing right now. And one of those things is really important, and that's actually trying to figure out if they're going to have enough census takers this year.
That's
Can
right.
you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the Census Bureau is still actively seeking folks to work with them to become census takers. The pay is actually really quite good.
It is.
I can hold this up. Look at that. You too can be a census taker. And You know, I think the nice thing about it is it's flexible, it's weekly pay.
It's $20 an hour.
Yeah, it's
just about 20.
we understood it was
an hour.
like, you know, 17 or so to start, but now they're at a point where like they really need the extra help, so it's up to 20. I've even heard it could go a little higher. You know, it's weekly pay, as I mentioned, obviously flexible hours. To apply, all you have to do is call, ready? 855-JOB-2020. So 855-JOB-2020, and they'll guide you from there. And it would be another fantastic community service for folks who have a little extra time on their hands and would like to help out with this. It'd be really very appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely, very beneficial. And also, too, I think it's open for anyone 18 years or older.
That's right.
So this is a wonderful opportunity for college students, who might just need some extra cash in their pocket, but it's also an incredible learning opportunity for them.
Yeah.
It's also a great resume builder, especially if you're interested in going into statistics or something along those lines. Or even if you're just interested in the nonprofit realm, you'll probably be, like Capri stated, be traveling to different nonprofits within the area. So there's a lot of opportunities with this possible position. So thank you for making note of that. And really to kind of wrap things up here today, I know we've talked about some wonderful things, and there's obviously more to learn. And I'm going to pass it back over to Capri. She's going to talk to us a little bit more about the different ways to actually take the census this year, and then how to learn a little bit more about the census if that's on your heart.
Great. I think I can handle this. There's actually going to be multiple ways for folks to be able to take the census. The initial one will be online. So you can go from your home, or I know the Rutland Free Library is offering they have great computer banks there to be able to go, and they can have folks help you out. Also, excuse me, they will be mailing if they haven't heard from you. So like there's this daily count. You can go on the census2020.gov, and it will let you know how Rutland County is doing as far as reaching everybody and having everybody take it. So if you're one of those folks that's like competitive and wants to see how we're doing, I'd encourage you to go to that and talk to your friends. I mean, we have this great group of folks that is trying to get the word out there, and I want to talk a little bit about the cool project that Castleton and the hospital and PEG TV and everybody's going to be working on. But we need other people too to talk about the importance of this. I mean, it's really, this is one of those grassroots opportunities where, you know, if you know someone, most of us have friends and family, ask them the question, have you filled out the census? And if they haven't, encourage them to. I do know that we're going to be working on trying to set up different locations. They're calling it mobile assistance. So for example, we're going to be looking to have events in the Castleton Fairhaven area, as well as in Rutland City and in Brandon, where they will literally, the enumerator is what the title of the positions are actually called, enumerators. And those folks will actually be able to come on site. So we're thinking we should feed them pizza or something, you know, to entice them to come and participate. So we're going to be doing a lot around getting the word out. And I don't know if you or Kirk want to talk about the project. We saw, I think November when Peter came to us, he showed us a drone video from New Hampshire. And we decided we could do it much better here in Rutland, just because we can. And we engaged Castleton College, and you know, it was like minds were coming together, because then Kirk's like, oh, well, we want to do a video too. So between the two of you guys want to talk about how that is going to come to be, and who they'll be hearing from, maybe? Or
You want to touch on that a little bit, Kirk? Maybe the hospital's connection?
Yeah. Well, so I had, spoken with some of our folks from our marketing department, and they were really interested in putting some videos together of, people from the community who can speak to the census and the importance of it, other than us, necessarily, but some other people across the community, and also thinking about people out into some of our neighboring towns that are just as important as what's happening here in Rutland. And so we're looking to put that video together. I've heard some pretty good rumors about some impressive drone footage that's going to come our way.
We're hoping.
Hopefully, to get the
fingers crossed.
Yeah, to get that bird's eye view
That's
of,
right,
of
yeah.
our beautiful, beautiful area. Just to remind people, how lucky we all are to live in such an amazing place.
Absolutely.
And to hear from others in the community who people know and recognize as people they can trust. Because again, we want people to feel safe in doing this and understand the importance, and to kind of fulfill our civic duty to make this happen.
Yeah, that's great. I think you said that perfectly. The only thing I'll add to that is we have a wonderful intern from Castleton University. It's, where I went to school, so it's very, very close to my heart, and we love to try and get youth involved as much as we possibly can. And Riley Cartwright is his name. He's wonderful. He's actually been doing a lot of our United Way at Work videos in the past few months. So we're hoping to get him, like Kirk said, and Caprice kind of touched on as well, involved in that video. So keep your fingers crossed for us. We really want to be able to create a drone video that helps the community see this beautiful place, so we can see it prosper and just go up from here. That's our overall goal and our overall mission. But the last thing I will state, if you need to get any more information on the census, if you just want to simply learn a little bit more about what it's all about, what our community benefits from, or if you just want to go ahead and take that census, visit www.2020census.gov. And you'll easily be able to figure out some more information, answer any questions you might have. And again, give us a call at United Way of Rutland County, 773-7477, of course, area code 802, and we're more than happy to help you out. But again, thank you both so much. You're both wonderful. You do so much in this community, so I thank you for all that you do. And thank you all so much for joining us again for another video of United Way at Work.